Get ready to embrace debate. First Take starts now.
Coming up on the First Take podcast, Floyd Mayweather, still the undefeated champion. Skip Bayless responds. The defending champs knocked out in the first round, but not without some controversy. And have the Jets found their quarterback of the future? All that and more on the First Take podcast, which starts right now. So by now, if you're on planet Earth, you know that Floyd Mayweather won the fight. Kerry champion Skip Bayless is not here. Stephen A. Smith is here. Welcome to First Take with Stephen A. We just saw the bet.
That's right.
You told him to do what?
I told Skip that when he lost, what he was going to have to wear, I was going to get to pick out his wardrobe. I never liked his wardrobe to begin with.
You don't know that. Yes,
but I think this is the first day I actually do like what he's wearing. Skip, come on out here, boy.
Skip is here. He didn't call in sick. I know you guys thought he might have called in sick. Skip, get over here. Be a good sport. Why is he looking that way? I don't understand. You are a mess.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
Okay.
This is beautiful.
All right.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Workers' comp. I don't want to be damaged in the midst of this. So, Skip Bayless.
Zoom in on the head. Zoom in on the head.
Wearing TMT gear, the Money Team hat, as well as the Money Team shirt, and it says the best ever. TBE.
There you go. It looks nice on you, man. You know what I love about it more than anything? The shirt is actually in Cowboys colors.
The hat.
Isn't it beautiful?
The hat looks like an engineer's hat.
Hey, listen, you bought this on yourself. Skip Bayless will be wearing this for 2 hours. 2 hours today.
Wait, time out.
Yes.
Is that the deal?
Yes, it is.
He's wearing
Yes, it is. Just
the
like
entire show?
I wore a Dallas Cowboys jersey and hat for 2 hours.
Whoa.
He's keeping that on for 2 hours.
You're keeping that? Okay. I didn't know.
I've got nothing to say. This show belongs from start to finish to my partner, Stephen A. Smith, who thinks he was victorious on Saturday night. The stage is yours.
All right. What happened, my friend?
Manny got schooled.
Okay.
That's what happened. Listen. Was it the most exciting fight in the world? No, it was not. We understand that. There's a lot of people that have been complaining about it. They didn't see a knockout like I predicted. I thought Floyd was going to take him out in the 11th round. It did not happen. You thought Floyd was going to get taken out in the 7th round. It did not happen. Freddie Roach, who, by the way, now owes me a pair of Tom Ford shoes.
Wait, time out. And we looked them up. The shoes that you wanted specifically are $2,000.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I want my shoes.
Okay.
I want my shoes, and I expect Freddie Roach to pay up, okay? In reality, in all seriousness, here's what it comes down to, y'all. When you can't hit somebody, it demoralizes you. Manny Pacquiao actually looked like he quit. He looked so frustrated, so demoralized, because he got so schooled. He trapped Floyd Mayweather against the ropes. 1 minute, Floyd Mayweather is doing a rope-a-dope. The next minute, he'll grab him, and he holds him, because that's what Floyd will do. He tried to trap him in the corner. Floyd kept escaping. Floyd was sitting there right in front of his face. The next thing you know, he was gone. Manny Pacquiao connected on 19% of his punches. 81% of his punches. This speed demon that y'all were talking about. This dude with the hands so fast. So much faster than Floyd Money Mayweather. So much more skilled than Floyd Money Mayweather. So much more powerful than Floyd Money Mayweather. Was hitting nothing but air. He got essentially embarrassed. Not because it was literal embarrassment from the perspective that Manny Pacquiao, you know what, oh my Lord, he just got completely destroyed. No. What happened is Floyd Mayweather is cool as the other side of the pillow, a tribute to my man, the great Stuart Scott, sat up there, came into the ring, heard all of this noise, this nonsense and everything else, and he said, I'm going to fight my fight. I know what I'm doing. I'm the magician in the ring. It went back to what I told you Floyd told me years ago. I can crack any Da Vinci Code in that ring. I'm the best. And that's what he did. He cemented the reality that he is the best of the modern day era. He took Pac-Man. He made him look slow. He made him look hesitant. He made him look like he didn't know what he was doing. And ultimately, he snatched Manny Pacquiao's heart right out of his chest because Manny Pacquiao didn't have anything. He appeared demoralized. He looked depressed after the fight, then comes up with some excuse about how his shoulder was hurting. Just so you know, after the fight. And then Sunday morning when I was on with Hannah Storm on SportsCenter, Floyd Mayweather and I spoke, and he said, excuses about Manny Pacquiao's shoulder. I came into the fight with 2 bad shoulders, and everyone knows my history of having bad hands. I've got my massage therapist here right now massaging my hands and taking care of me because both of my hands was messed up, both of my shoulders were messed up, and it didn't stop me. I didn't make any excuses, so why should Manny Pacquiao get away with this? The boy got schooled. Freddie Roach, 7-time trainer of the year, got schooled. Bob Arum, the great Bob Arum, who's in his 80s, who's been around forever, who was the promoter for Mayweather for 10.5 years, who came on my radio show and told me Floyd's feet are not what they used to be. He can't move. He can't do this. He can't do that. None of it mattered. He got schooled too. And to top it all off, Floyd walked away with a $100 million check that night. I ain't even counting the other $100 million coming.
That's coming in.
All right, I'm talking about the $100 million check that he got Saturday night. He took their money. He took their reputation. He took their bravado. He took their heart. He took everything from them and reduced them to nothing more than an excuse to try and get a rematch with them so they could finally get paid themselves. Floyd Money Mayweather.
This one
took it out, took them out, all of them together. And last but not least, he saved the best for last when he said, you. Who's that guy on the show?
He knows my name.
He knows
I know he knows your name. I know he knows your name. But he said, who's that other guy on the show with Stephen A. Smith? Why did he say that? Because he was pointing the finger at you with all of your hyperbole and everything like that. Who's wearing the hat? It is you. You, my friend. You, my friend. You, my friend. I will respect you because you honored the bet and you came out and wore what you wore. But in the end, the blasphemy that you spoke, you played the role in doing this to Manny Pacquiao too.
What?
And you got what you deserve. The floor is yours.
I can't.
Have you said enough? Because I've heard enough. Are you done?
I'm done, Skip. Go ahead, man.
He's about to explode. Let me scoot over.
Hold on, I got my tea here.
Is it okay if I stand up for just a second?
Yeah, do whatever
Can you
you're gonna
keep
do.
me on camera if I'm standing, please?
All right, I'm gonna move out the way.
I have worn this garbage long enough. This is it. Done with you.
What?
I have worn this garbage long enough.
You're not going to honor the bet?
This is coming off.
What are you doing?
TBE, the biggest ego ever. That's all this stands for. TBE, the biggest. Where's the camera? Right there. You got it. Right there. Right in the camera. Okay. I got to fix my hair. I got to fix me. Now, it's my turn to talk on this show because I got a whole lot to say and you got a whole lot to listen to. You know what, my friend Stephen A. Smith, and I do love you like a brother, though sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah, I know. Siblings.
If Floyd Mayweather Jr. had dominated and punished Manny Pacquiao the way you thought he would, if this fight had been stopped in the 11th round the way you called that it would be because Manny just couldn't continue because he was too hurt, you know what? I would wear that blasphemous T-shirt, TBE, and that silly engineer's hat for 2 hours of this show. But that did not happen on Saturday night. Here's the truth of what happened on Saturday night. Manny Pacquiao won that fight. Manny Pacquiao definitely thought he had won the fight because he said so right after the fight, as matter-of-factly and from the heart as he could. I won the fight. Manny Pacquiao went so far as to say the bottom line was he didn't do nothing. That's my bottom line to the whole fight. Floyd Mayweather didn't do nothing. Evander Holyfield said right after the fight, the former champion we had on this show, what did he say? Manny Pacquiao won this fight fair and square. And I don't even want to talk about the shoulder issue, the shoulder injury. I don't care. Regardless of whether his shoulder was hurt or not, Manny Pacquiao won this fight, as I detailed on Twitter from start to finish. I'm not doing sour grapes. I'm not doing sore loser here. I'm not speaking from the heart. I am speaking from the head with which I scored the fight from round to round. I had it 115, 113, Manny Pacquiao. I had Pacquiao Pacquiao winning 7 rounds to Mayweather's 5 rounds. I had Pacquiao winning 2, 3, especially 4 and 6, 10 and 12, which obviously Floyd just conceded 12 because Floyd thought the fight was over. I had Floyd Mayweather winning 1 because Manny came out tentative, 5, 7. I gave Floyd 9, and I don't even think he deserved to win 9, but I gave it to him. And round 11, I thought Floyd won round 11. This thing's driving me crazy, so I'm done with that. I'm done with the shirt, with the hat, and with my IFB for this segment. Okay. All that I saw that Floyd Mayweather did was he mostly ran and he danced and he rope-a-doped after he blasted the great Muhammad Ali in your all-access piece, saying that he was over-glorified for rope-a-doping George Foreman. That's all I saw that he did. He played rope-a-dope. Manny Pacquiao landed more shots, did more damage in rounds 4 and 6 than Mayweather did in the entire fight to Manny Pacquiao. When the fight was over, I thought Pacquiao was ready to go for a jog. He had a little mark up here, but he was mostly unmarked. Most of the damage in the fight was done by Pacquiao to Mayweather, especially in round 4 and 6. And the reason I picked 7, the Pacquiao team told me a month ago they were convinced they could take out Floyd Mayweather within 4 rounds. Obviously, Manny went for the quote-unquote kill in the 4th round. I thought he had Floyd in trouble. I thought he let him off the hook and off the ropes too quickly. Floyd was getting hammered in round 4 and again in round 6. So, Stephen A. Smith, I step back and I say, what was I taught? Remember, I've been covering boxing a lot longer than you've been covering boxing. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
My first fight that I covered was in September of 1978. 36 years ago, I covered Ali Spinks 2, the second fight in New Orleans. What was I taught from the start about how you score a boxing match? Unless there's a knockdown, the aggressor almost always wins the round. Who was the aggressor for most of the fight? Seriously, who was the aggressor? Manny Pacquiao was the aggressor.
That is true.
I got him in at least 7 rounds being more aggressive. I thought it was 8 or 9. I'm trying to be objective here, but the aggressor wins the fight. That was Evander Holyfield's point. He thought that Pacquiao was clearly more aggressive throughout the fight. But what happened? The judges scored the fight as if Floyd Mayweather was the invincible, undefeated champion, and Pacquiao was the unknown underdog. Manny Pacquiao's a champion, too. You got to score it straight up. It's almost like they wouldn't give Pacquiao a round unless he all but drew blood on Floyd Mayweather. That's a joke to me, because if you took this fight and put it in a vacuum, just in a vacuum, if you did not know the reputation of this fighter or the lack of reputation of this fighter, just those 2 fighters, and you got independent judges from around the world to score it, trust me, Manny Pacquiao would win that fight. Floyd Mayweather was mostly, I saw more smoke and mirrors from Mayweather than I'd see in a Las Vegas magic act. There were more mirages than you see in the Las Vegas desert, because he's mostly preening. He's acting like he's winning. He's shaking his head on rope-a-dope. He's dancing side to side like he's some little Ali. He acted the part very well. He impressed the judges very well. He did not win the fight. And the other thing that colored America's perception, for sure, was the guy that we had sitting in this seat, both in Las Vegas and in this studio, Roy Jones Jr. I love Roy, but he showed his true colors on our show, especially in Las Vegas. Was it Thursday's show, I believe Roy was on? He's a Floyd fan. From the start, after Manny gave up the first round because he was tentative, Roy Jones Jr. was completely over the top for Floyd Mayweather. He colored America's perception from the start about the fight. He misled people into thinking that Mayweather was dominating the fight when he wasn't. When actually Pacquiao was fighting a very smart fight from start to finish. He actually fought a Floyd smart fight, because I was worried that Manny was going to take one shot and get rocked and get dropped. Did not happen. He got caught one time the whole fight with one right hand from Floyd Mayweather. Floyd got caught 3 or 4 big times. That's what Evander Holyfield was saying. So in the end, I love the line from Manny. He didn't do nothing. Manny Pacquiao won the fight. I wore that junk that I wore for a little while because you deserve that much, but I'm not going to wear it again.
Fine. Go ahead and dishonor your bet. It's okay.
Okay.
It's all right. That's what you're doing, and that's fine because I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Here's the reality of the situation, Skip. Roy Jones Jr. thought he won the fight. Max Kellerman thought he won the fight. Our very own Dan, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Dan Rayfield thought he won the fight. Dan Watson from Yahoo Sports thought he won the fight. Teddy Atlas, who picked Pacquiao, thought Mayweather won the fight. We're not simply sitting there and saying that Floyd did X, Y, and Z. Let's be real and let's be serious here. Don't even worry about your paper. Just listen to what I'm here.
I got so many more points.
I know that.
I'm not going to forget one of them.
And I know you're not going to forget. But I'm dead serious about this. Skip Bayless, you've been around boxing long enough to know that what type of a fighter you are is what you are. Floyd Mayweather is a person devoid of one-punch knockout power. He goes into the ring. He outboxes you. His jab was there all night long. He could hit Manny with the jab anytime he wanted to. Every time he threw the jab, it was knocking Manny in his face. Now, did it hurt him? No. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that it kept Manny off of him. Manny Pacquiao threw nearly 500 punches, Skip. He didn't even connect on 85. The fact of the matter, wait a minute. Skip, he connected on 19% of his punches. He missed 81% of his punches. Where was the quickness? Where was the Mr. Manny Pacquiao? Where was the guy that we saw shadow boxing with all of his speed and all that stuff? Yeah. We thought this was a mega fight. Nobody thought this was a mega fight because they were going to confuse Floyd Mayweather Jr. with being Tommy Hitman Hearns. We know what he is. What makes it great is that whether it's Miguel Cotto in the past, or Canelo Alvarez in the past, or an Oscar De La Hoya in the past, you saw a guy in Floyd Mayweather going into the ring with guys who were bigger, who were stronger, that had knockout power. In Manny's case, he wasn't bigger or stronger. He was smaller, but with electrifying speed and knockout power. And what happened, Skip? He could do nothing. More than half his punches.
Did you happen to see round 4?
Listen,
did you see round 6?
And I give you that. I give you both stories in both rounds 4 and 6. I gave Manny Pacquiao both of those rounds. What I am saying to you, Skip, is that outside of that, most of his shots, he was missing. Floyd was there. He was gone. Floyd Mayweather boxed him. Manny Pacquiao, a great fighter, was reduced to average status because he was in there with the best. And in the end, this is not a Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, because I know you thought Sugar Ray Leonard won that fight.
I did.
I was somebody that leaned towards Hagler. But my point to you is Hagler's aggression, he would tie Sugar Ray up, he would throw body shots and do a lot of things, but Sugar Ray managed to steal the rounds late, the last 30 seconds. Manny Pacquiao couldn't even do that. The last couple of rounds, Skip, he looked like he quit. He was so demoralized.
Not in 12.
Listen.
Floyd ran the whole 12th round.
11. Right. What I'm saying to you is this. In the sport of boxing, when somebody can't hit you, it's the ultimate demoralizing thing. No mas. Yeah. Roberto Duran quitting against Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray never hurt him. The first fight, he beat him up.
There was something else going on there.
No. The first fight, he beat him up. Yeah. The second fight, Sugar Ray said, I'm not going to stand toe-to-toe with him. I'm not going to stand toe-to-toe with him. I'm going to be evasive. All of a sudden, he couldn't find Sugar Ray, and he just threw his hands up because he couldn't catch him. He couldn't take being embarrassed. The Manny Pacquiao you saw in the post-fight conference, he was a man that was embarrassed, Skip, because Manny Pacquiao, I couldn't hit him. That's the reality. And you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but you're leaving out the part about because he was running.
No, there was plenty of time. Hold on, wait a minute. There was plenty of times Floyd was either on the ropes in the corner or right in front of me. I'm not saying he didn't hold. I'm not saying there were times that he wasn't running. I'm telling you, vast majority of the fight, he was in the corner, he was on the ropes, or he was right in front of Manny Pacquiao's face, and Manny Pacquiao couldn't hit him. He could not hit him. This is boxing, y'all. I like to see Mike Tyson knocking people out, Lennox Lewis knocking people out, or Gennady Golovkin knocking people out, or somebody like that. But guess what? That doesn't always happen. And you know why? Because no matter who you put in the ring with Floyd Money Mayweather, he demoralizes them because defensively, he's just too gifted, he's too slippery, man. And he embarrassed Pacquiao, had Pacquiao swinging at air, Skip.
No,
air.
You want to address that?
Oh, do I? I have said many, many times on this show, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is the greatest defensive fighter I have ever
That's
seen.
What we talk about
and that
here.
was on display on Saturday night.
That's what we're saying.
I have said that. But you cannot beat an equal challenger when you have little to no offense. I saw little to no offense. The only offense I saw from Floyd, I told you, he landed one punch the whole night, caught him here, one time with the right. His offense consisted mostly of tying him up, putting him in a headlock. Really? Is that all you got?
And the jab.
And
the jab. And the straight right from time to time.
If you want to count a couple low blows, I'll give you the couple low blows. Seriously, there's just not the rat-a-tat jab. It's not enough. It's not enough to win the fight. Who took the most punishment? Who took the most punishment?
It wasn't Floyd.
Oh, please.
It wasn't Floyd.
Are you kidding me?
He barely got touched.
Oh, in round 4, he was getting pummeled in the corner.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my
boom,
goodness.
boom, 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 boom.
Skip.
Are you kidding?
Everybody in the world, even the folks in the Philippines that had to sit there and monitor their electricity, they know that Manny Pacquiao lost the fight.
They do not
They
know.
all know, Skip. Everybody knows Manny Pacquiao. Now, it might have been more a product of Manny Pacquiao than Floyd in their eyes, but there is no denying. Everybody says Manny Pacquiao wasn't so. Even Freddie Roach sat there and said, there were some things we could have done differently. This is just 7-time trainer of the year who wants to come on my radio show and sit up there and bet me a pair of Tom Ford shoes. I didn't ask him for that bet. Sitting there, Manny Pacquiao's going to knock him out in the 9th round. We've been preparing for this for years. Bob Arum, you have to understand, Stephen, I was his promoter for 10.5 years. I know him. I've seen slippage. Floyd is not the same anymore. He can't move. He's going to be a stationary target for the speed. And Manny Pacquiao, I asked Freddie Roach, this is Bob Arum talking. I asked Freddie Roach, is it possible that he could literally be hitting harder and going faster? I can't believe what I'm seeing. And then you get in the ring with Floyd, and he looked like everybody else. I'm not saying it's the most exciting thing in the world. I'm not going to lie to my viewing public here, but I'm telling you, the brilliance of Floyd Mayweather is comparable to what we saw from Pernell Whitaker when he went against De La Hoya, when he went against Julio Cesar Chavez. That kind of defensive wizardry is what made Manny Pacquiao.
Okay, wait,
look
time out. We got 3 minutes. You want to make your points and we'll pick this back up after, or you want to go? Or you want to go now?
I have to make this point because I should have seen this coming.
Okay.
I should have known, even though we had different people come on the show and say, watch what happens if it goes to a decision with the judges. I should have known Manny Pacquiao from the Philippines would have no shot if it went to the judges in America, in the United States of America. Floyd's mystique is just too great. Blinded by the light. Everything that you're saying, those judges have heard again and again and again. I thought the scores were outrageously lopsided for the hometown home ring hero who is Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm sorry, they were.
You're coming across as a sore loser, especially since you took off the hat and shirt too, because you lost the bet. You lost the bet. You bet in front of everybody right there poolside. You bet in front of him.
Manny Pacquiao won that fight.
You lost, Skip.
He won that fight.
So
you lost.
3 American judges said your guy won. I'm not accepting it. Sorry.
Skip is not believing that he lost the fight. You said that on Twitter that night. You will not go back on that. He wore the shirt for whatever.
I want y'all to know,
okay.
First take, because nobody's pressuring Skip. I want America to know, everybody. First take, you have no dominion over me whatsoever anymore. I'm not honoring any bets.
All right.
You lost.
I won. I came out here and won.
2 hours.
I won.
I wore it.
2 hours.
I
came out.
The two
I
of
did
them.
it.
I want the hat at least.
Saying he wore the Tony Romo jersey.
I want the hat at least. I don't care about the shirt. You put on that TNT hat. You lost.
You enjoyed wearing the Romo T-shirt.
What?
Yes, you did.
Me?
You looked good in it.
Wearing a cowboy
you looked
hat?
good in it. I looked terrible in that hat.
Hey, that's not my fault.
All right. Time out.
Put on the hat.
Obviously,
I want the hat.
Stephen A's not honoring any more bets. He won't do it.
The hat is just so silly looking.
You don't want to wear it.
Deal with it. You did it to yourself.
No,
I didn't do it to myself.
You did it to yourself.
They did it to me.
All right. We got a tweet from Dan Rafel. He obviously is watching what happened, and he wanted me to say.
He picked Floyd.
He did pick Floyd, and he tweeted the show. He said, poor Skip, he's having a meltdown on first take. Still says Manny won. I'm laughing so hard at this.
He said Manny, he said.
See, everybody who picked Floyd, they wanted to see Floyd win, so they're seeing things.
Oh, really?
They're reading
but that doesn't apply to you who've been picking Pacquiao.
No.
Oh, no. So you're the lone objective voice in all of the world. Yeah. Nobody else thinks Manny Pacquiao won the fight.
I'm not alone in this.
Really?
I just told you Evander Holyfield right after the fight.
He don't count.
Wait, he doesn't count? Wait, the heavyweight former champ, he doesn't count.
First of all, this is the same Evander Holyfield. We got to see the fight. We got to see fight. We'll see what happens. No. I want to hear from you. You even want to make a prediction. You even want to make a prediction. I want to hear from Evander Holyfield.
He can't talk
why are you even coming on camera? You didn't want to make a prediction. You didn't want to make a prediction. You understand?
So, ladies and gentlemen, you asked if, in fact, Skip would show up. Skip did show up. He sort of honored
Put on the hat, man. I ain't honoring any bet.
All right, there you go.
You don't have to.
The undercard for that big fight on Saturday was this Clippers game, Game 7 between the Spurs. Defending champions trying to advance. The Clippers look to deal with what has been their kryptonite. There were more than 30 lead changes. But in the end, Chris Paul, nursing a hamstring injury, as you can see, delivers that game-winning shot with just a second left. Doc Rivers on playing the Spurs in round 1.
With like 2 minutes left, Tim Duncan walks up to me. This is the first round. And he almost took it out of my, I was thinking the same thing. And that is the classiest organization, the classiest players, the best coach to me ever, or one of the top ones. And so all our respect goes to them. I mean, if we could scratch that somehow, some way in the next years, we would be thrilled to death.
All right, that was a great first round. So, Skip, what happened to the Spurs Saturday night?
First, let me say that was a great basketball game, played by a whole bunch of great players on both teams and coached by, I think, the two best coaches in pro basketball. And it's close between Doc and Pop. Yeah. And I was very happy for Doc that he won that game. I'm a big fan. I know you are too.
Yes, I am.
But just like with the Pacquiao fight, if my Spurs had lost Game 7 by 20 points, I would be the first to just bow completely down to Chris Paul and his Clippers for what they did. And by the way, Chris Paul in Game 7, heck, in the whole series for the most part, was magnificent, and especially in Game 7, battling back from his hamstring strain. But in the end, and this just tears my heart out, I thought the refs had way too much impact on deciding that game. The call of the game, and by the way, if Doc can complain about the refs as he did throughout the series, at least I can now too, because I feel like I have a legit beef. The call of the game changer, was the foul called on Tim Duncan with 13 seconds left.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Finally, Chris Paul actually missed a jump shot, thanks to a closeout by Tim Duncan, and the ref said he did not give Chris Paul room to land from coming down from his jump shot. I thought there was little to no contact on that play. We were talking about clearly a cinch first ballot Hall of Famer in Tim Duncan, who deserves just an ounce of respect there, where you don't let that call decide that game. But to Chris Paul's credit, he stepped right to the free throw line and he swished both free throws. And to Tim Duncan's undying credit, he goes to the other end and gets fouled and makes both of his clutch free throws, which the degree of difficulty was special. Tim Duncan was the best player on the floor for my Spurs for 7 games.
Yes.
There's no way he's going to retire off that. That's just my quick thought on him. I don't see it unless he wants to, but I doubt he does. I thought he had a great year.
He doesn't want to go out like this.
No, heck no. So then Chris Paul comes back down and made an unbelievable shot over Tim Duncan, and I give it up to you, Chris. That was, you talk about special. On a degree of difficulty scale of 10, that was a 9.9. I have no idea how he got the shot up and over Tim Duncan and high off the glass to go through, but it went through clean as a whistle. So I give you that. But 1 second remained on the clock, Stephen A. Smith. And we go to the other end. Pop calls a play to Kawhi Leonard, and the home-cooking, hometown clock operator for the Clippers hits the horn before the ball's even inbounded. And all of a sudden, the Spurs are running the play and showing the Clippers what the play is going to do. Yeah. And you don't have time to fix that, so they try to run it again. And on the second attempt to run the play, Matt Barnes, who's guarding the shooter clear over in the other corner, didn't even guard the three-point shooter, came off and broke up the play. God bless him. But I didn't want to see my Spurs go out that way. I wanted to be decisive by the Clippers or by the Spurs. But I believe if you don't call that foul on Tim Duncan, the game would be tied going the other way with 13 seconds left. I believe my Spurs would have won and advanced to play the Rockets.
Well, first of all, let me echo your sentiments. Two great organizations. San Antonio Spurs are special people. First class all the way. They deserve a lot of kudos, and I'm going to go as far as to say the NBA should be ashamed of itself for not addressing this seeding issue, and for Adam Silver, the commissioner, who I like and respect, to come out and talk about how division winners need to be rewarded. That is not something we need to hear from the commissioner after the reigning defending NBA champions go down in a Game 7 of a first-round series that they should not have been involved in to begin with, because the seedings definitely should have been reconstructed, reconfigured. So I just think that's really a bad move on his part, and then especially in the immediate aftermath of those two faux pas that you pointed out about the officials making. You don't see. I've watched Peter Holt at San Antonio Spurs games, the owner for the Spurs, for many years. He does not act like that. No. He does not explode.
Have you ever seen him on camera? I don't think I've ever seen him on camera until then.
Let me tell you something. He's a gentleman. I'm very fond of him. I've never seen him conduct himself like that. He was absolutely right. It's a Game 7, for crying out loud. The season is on the line, and the official, with the clock, whatever, y'all make that kind of error and put it in a situation. I don't blame him and Popovich for exploding at all. And again, you don't have any time to fix that, and so you got to go with the same play and basically get the Clippers a series. I'm not upset about it. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm happy to see the Clippers and them survive. They had to show me, because I didn't think they were going to win the Game 7, because you got to show me to convince me that you can do something that I've never seen you do, because the Clippers had never done this before. But Skip, what I would say to you is give them more credit than you're giving them in terms of what you pointed out about the Spurs and the officials. The Spurs did lose a Game 4 on their home court. I was there. They had it in the bag. They had the Clippers right where they wanted them, and they blew it. They come back to L.A. They win Game 5. Okay? They win Game. You win Game 5. Okay? You're going back on your home turf again.
I agree.
And you blew it again. 2 games, a Game 4 and a Game 6. The Spurs do not lose this series. The Clippers won this series because they went into San Antonio not once but twice and beat the San Antonio Spurs on their home court. The reigning defending champions lost 2 pivotal playoff games on their home turf. That's winning the series. That's not the Spurs losing the series. And Chris Paul, all of this stuff, I would hope that even though he still is devoid of a championship, we're not calling him CP0 anymore.
He needs to. He's never been out of the second round.
I understand, but I'm just talking about in terms of his performance.
He was great.
In games that matter.
He was great.
The brother shows
he was tremendous. Listen,
shows up.
Their whole team showed up in that Saturday night game.
Matt Barnes.
Hey, that's Game 7 at home, and I thought the pressure would be on the home team. They made 14 three-point shots. When you make 14, you're probably going to win the game, even though my team had a chance at the end. But in the fourth quarter, they made 10 out of 15 shots. You're probably going to win that game. That's big-time clutch shooting.
No question.
This was a shootout, man.
All right, so look, we talked earlier. Chris Paul still questionable for Game 1 against the Rockets. Let's talk about moving forward in that particular series. You think he's going to win?
The Clippers will not win this series if Chris Paul can't play.
Okay.
You are not beating James Harden, Dwight Howard, and the Houston Rockets without Chris Paul. And the reason I say that is because they have no depth. Now, if the Clippers had a bench, that would be different, because I think even without Chris Paul, the rest of the starters, along with Jamal Crawford, can sit there and keep you in the game and nip and tuck away at the Houston Rockets. The problem is you have to have a bench to go to offset what Houston's going to throw at you. And if you don't have that, I can't see you knocking off James Harden and the Houston Rockets. I can't see that happening. But if Chris Paul is healthy, I see the Clippers winning this series in 6 games.
Oh, wow.
I see the Clippers. If Chris Paul can play, he doesn't even have to play game 1, Skip. But if he can play the rest of the series, I'm picking the Clippers to win this series in 6 games.
Okay, clearly he did not tear his hamstring, or he would not have been able to come back into that game. And when he came back, I thought he played really well. When he blew by Danny Green for the last shot, he was moving pretty well. I know it was troubling him, it was bothering him, but it wasn't stopping him.
Yeah, but
so I'm going to say, I'm going to say he's going to play tonight.
I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if he's going to play, because if I'm Doc Rivers, the longer, and you correct me on this one because of how much you run and what have you, that additional 2 days rest, if he doesn't play game 1, can help.
Now, if there's a tear in it,
I'm not talking about the tear.
Remember Magic and Byron Scott early in the Detroit series in 1989? They're out.
You know, trying to tell Magic he's going, and Magic just swung his arm away. He was so disgusted because he knew he couldn't go. I guess what I'm saying is that since it's not a tear, that additional 2 to 3 days rest can be incredibly helpful for CP3. If that's going to be the case, I don't play him in game 1. I go with the rest of my crew. I challenge Austin Rivers and the Hedo Turkoglu's of the world to step up and do something for me in game 1, just so I can have Chris Paul ready for game 2, or dare I say, even potentially a game 3 and beyond. That's what I'm thinking.
Hey, I'm going Clippers in 6 because I think the Clippers just arrived. And again, CP3's got to be pretty healthy.
Right. Again, you're not sure if he will play tonight. We still have no word on that.
We're not hedging our bets. It's just that it's CP3 we're talking about on a team that doesn't really have a bench. You can't have, and you got to remember, CP3, Kerry, Skip, he usually has the toughest defensive assignment. I mean, this guy is not only that, he not only has elite dudes, the Kawhi Leonards of the world, defending him, but he's usually defending a Tony Parker.
But he won't defend James Harden.
He won't defend James Harden, but he's usually defending the Damian Lillards of the world and others. Now, when I spoke to the Clippers, they think their chances are very, very good against Houston.
Sure.
They are very confident against the Houston Rockets. I think they split, if I remember correctly. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that CP3 is your catalyst, not just offensively, but defensively. And without him, you lose everything.
Yep.
You're not beating Houston without him.
No.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Well, it was the busiest sports weekend. It continued with the draft. The Jets added a quarterback to their roster. Former Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty selected in the 4th round after the Jets moved up 1 spot Saturday in a trade with the Jags. Jets gave up the 104th pick and a 7th rounder to take Petty. Jets GM Mike McGannon simply says that they had to move up. He felt good about Petty. Petty, just by way of background, threw 61 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. He's supposed to work with Geno Smith, veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick, as well as Matt Sims. So here's the question with that roster growing, and Skip, I'll give it to you first. Do you believe with this pick that the Jets may have found their quarterback for the future?
Stephen A. Smith, I believe they did. I believe in Bryce Petty, and I did before the draft, and I can't remember if I said so to you on the air. I know I tweeted it, but I thought Bryce Petty, especially at this spot in the draft, was the steal of the entire draft for the New York Jets. You guys know the great George Whitfield, the quarterback tutor, right?
Yeah, our colleague.
Do you know George?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I heard George recently on ESPN Radio talking about Bryce Petty. And remember, George tutored at the same time for about a month, Jameis and Mariota and Bryce Petty. Those 3 together for a month at George's school out in San Diego. And George was wondering out loud why Bryce Petty wasn't in the debate or the mix with Mariota for the 2nd best quarterback in the draft. He thought maybe it would be a lot of teams thinking, should I go Mariota or should I go Bryce? That's how much George thinks of Bryce Petty. I love Bryce Petty when he's at Baylor. Again, I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but he can be the starting quarterback, the answer for the New York Jets. He is big. He is tough. He is strong, strong-armed, not huge-armed, but above average-armed, and naturally born accurate. Naturally born. And he is a gamer. Remember, he led that astonishing 21-point comeback. Remember when they were 21 down to TCU at home? Yep. It was the game of the year as far as the final standings.
61-58.
Remember that? There you go. Thank you very much. And then he went on to the Cotton Bowl against a very good Michigan State defense. We were at Michigan State, obviously, earlier in the football season. And he threw for a Cotton Bowl record 550 yards against Michigan State. Again, I've never been the biggest Geno fan. I like him, but I don't love him as the long-term answer for the New York Jets. But Bryce Petty will be it. I'm not saying he'll be in the starting lineup next year because he was in a run-and-shoot Baylor attack, and the transition might be a little rocky for him. But once he gets a hold of the pro-style offense, he will be able to operate it at a higher level than Geno would ever have been able to.
Skip, I totally agree with you. I had the pleasure of meeting Bryce Petty and talking to him. I like his confidence. I like his swag.
Did you meet him in Dallas?
No. He came here, and he was on my radio show.
Good.
Right here, and I enjoyed talking to him. He's very, very confident. He obviously can make all the pro throws. This is what they say about him. They question his ability to read defenses and what have you, and, not playing in the pro-style offense, not really getting the ball behind center. I don't have any questions about him. I like his size. I like his arm strength. I love the fact that the Jets put him with somebody. They're not asking him to utilize Eric Decker as their #1 receiver. They've got Brandon Marshall. They've got Decker. They got this kid, Zach Stacy, out of St. Louis now.
Vanderbilt University. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, where?
Vanderbilt.
He went to Vanderbilt.
He wanted to get traded. He wanted to get traded from St. Louis the minute they drafted Todd Gurley.
Yep.
Now, you still got Bilal Powell and Chris Ivory, Stephen Ridley as well, so they're loaded at the running back spot. So you're loaded at the running back spot. You've got a legit #1 receiver right now, legit #2 in Eric Decker. You're going to have
Devin Smith they draft from Ohio State.
That's right. He can play as well. And now it's just a matter of the quarterback. Now, think about this. Geno Smith, Ryan Fitzpatrick, combined, I don't know, 89 starts or whatever it is. I'm looking at a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. What's the number here? Their record combined is 44-73-1 with 148 touchdowns, 135 interceptions. Fitzpatrick had 89 starts in his career. Geno Smith has 29. Fitzpatrick has never had a winning record. All right, I'm not sold on him. I've never been sold on him. So you're talking about Bryce Petty and what he could potentially do. Then when you look at the defense, they drafted Leonard Williams, who is very impressive with us. He's your edge rusher, okay? I spoke to Tom Bowles. He came on my radio show last week as well. He said they're still going to stay with the 3-4 as opposed to the 4-3 because they're going to have 4 linebackers. They're going to have 3 defensive linemen. I said, you lining up all these offensive linemen. He said, Bill Parcells told me once, you can never have enough defensive tackles, enough defensive linemen in the sport of football. So when you look at the fact that they're loaded with defensive linemen, all right, and then you combine that with Cromartie and Revis coming there, and Milliner, he's got 2 years under his belt as well. You retained David Harrison. You kept him from going to Buffalo. This defense will likely be a top 3 defense, arguably the #1 defense in the NFL next season. And if that happens, and you can do anything offensively, I got news for you. The Patriots, for the first time, conceivably, the Jets might sit there and come after them in the AFC East Division.
Look at that. Prediction.
How far are you willing to tiptoe out on that limb right now?
I gotta see the offense together. I mean, like with this preseason, I gotta see it defensively. I have no questions about the Jets. I have 0 questions because of Todd Bowles and because of the personnel. I just think adding Leonard Williams to the mix just makes it, bless you. I just think adding Leonard Williams to the mix just makes them that even that much more formidable. But because you already got Revis with Cromartie, Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkinson, Copels, and these. Well, I mean, this kid Harrison's on their defensive line as well. They're no joke. Defensively, we know what they're going to bring. Offensively is the huge question mark. But going after a quarterback who can throw, being loaded at the running backs. They have 4 legitimate running backs. And then you combine that with Brandon Marshall having something to prove, especially after the awful year the Chicago Bears had last year before he was moved out of there. He don't realize how much he's going to benefit from being gone from there. You don't even have to travel to New York. You don't have to fly to New York now when you want to do work for Showtime. You can just go across town after practice. The point is that he's in a really good situation. And I think they're going to put, if they can do anything offensively, they're going to be hellacious.
Yep. The Jets are going to be really good. But even though the Tom Brady that we saw at the Derby and then at the fight wasn't at his best on Saturday night, He'll be at his best
I
next
thought he
football
was
season.
fine on Saturday night. What do you mean?
He looked a little wobbly to me.
I think a lot of people were having some fun.
Wait a minute.
Not just him alone.
Hold on,
Not just him alone.
It doesn't matter if it was. It's the off season.
I'm fine with it. I said he'll be fine next
He wasn't behind the wheel of a car.
I totally agree.
So why you bring it up?
I just said that guy is going to be fine when it's time to play football.
He was chilling and having a good time.
He wasn't the only
Well, don't disrespect him.
I'm not disrespecting you all.
Well, you said the Jets might dethrone Tom Brady.
I'm saying they might knock him off.
In regards to former Baylor quarterback Bryce Petty, he was the consensus Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in 2013. Again, perhaps the quarterback of the future, so says Bayless.
I'm picking your guy to lose by TKO in the 11th round.
My best friend bet me Tom Ford shoes.
Tom Ford.
Shoes.
Well, I don't bet, but I am taking Freddie Roach up on that bet. Freddie Roach is so disrespectful.
Is he now?
He's so disrespectful. Now, for those of you who are not aware of Tom Ford shoes, the shoes are not cheap.
Are you prepared for how much it's going to hurt you on Monday to cough up 2 G's for a pair of shoes for Freddie Roach? Is it going to hurt your pride more or your wallet more?
It would hurt my pride more than my wallet. I would admit that.
Yes.
But yeah, I haven't even entertained or contemplated that. I don't expect to be wrong.
Stephen A. hitting on all cylinders, ladies and gentlemen. So you won the bet,
right?
And you won the bet.
Yeah.
So have you decided which shoes you're going to get?
No, I haven't. When I was in L.A. a few weeks ago, I was strolling down Rodeo Drive, and there's a Tom Ford store right there on Rodeo.
Sure.
I'm sure you know about it.
I'm very familiar.
And what happened is they had a bevy of Tom Ford shoes in there, all of which was in upwards of $1,600, and a couple was over $2,000, if I remember correctly. I'm going to make sure I pick the most expensive one.
Will you
and
wear
that is
them?
what I want. Oh, absolutely.
Are you?
Matter of fact, listen, I'm disappointed. We haven't heard from Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach interrupted my radio show to let me know he wears a size 8. He came on the radio show to talk smack. He was talking smack a whole lot leading up to the fight. I mean, Bob Arum had something to say. He should buy me a pair of shoes, too. I mean, I'm looking at all of these guys, and they have been uncharacteristically quiet. The only person that's been running his mouth is Oscar De La Hoya. Now, I don't understand why he's been running his mouth. Again, he got mad. I guess he got mad because I said something about him. Oscar De La Hoya.
He said something about you?
He said something about me over the weekend. I don't remember what it was. But Oscar De La Hoya is great. You understand? And there's no question about that. But I'll tell you what I hold against Oscar De La Hoya. Everybody talk about Floyd running. No. Floyd didn't run. You want to see somebody on their bicycle or on their tricycle? Go back and watch the tape of the last 4 rounds of Oscar De La Hoya fighting Felix Trinidad. Look at that. Now, that's what running really, really, really is. And Oscar De La Hoya is great. He's a Hall of Famer. It's all in fun, Oscar. It's no big deal. I know you're phenomenal. But
that wasn't in fun.
No, that was dead serious.
No, but it's just the truth. No, I'm just saying. That's running.
Okay.
He ran that the last 4 rounds, and he was beating Felix Trinidad and ran the last 4 rounds.
All right, so
pay up.
So it looks as if Freddie Roach may have a little bit of money to pay you.
Yeah.
You know, buy your shoes. Maybe 2 pairs of shoes.
How much is he getting?
Of the $100 million?
Well, listen, how much is the legitimate question is how much is Manny Pacquiao getting? Because we all know that he answers the top ranking Bob Arum. We don't know what his take is.
We have no idea.
That Floyd Money Mayweather, we know what he's getting because he's the boss.
Do you know?
We don't know what Manny Pacquiao's getting.
Reportedly, at least 80.
At least 80.
No, I'm talking about what he takes home. What Manny takes home. You understand? I know Floyd's going to take home his money. I don't know how much money Pacquiao's going to take home. And remember, Freddie Roach is going to get a piece of that. So I'm sure it should be enough to pay for my Tom Ford shoes.
Freddie can handle it.
You think he can get 2 G's out? All right.
I'm waiting to hear from Freddie.
So by some accounts, the 36-minute fight, it really didn't manage expectations. Floyd necessarily isn't a knockout artist, as you mentioned on the show, and Manny didn't throw as many punches as fans expected. But according to early numbers, there were over $400 million in pay-per-view sales. And that's reported by Showtime and HBO. We still don't know. There could be more. So the legacy fight, Stephen A., as they were calling it, is in the books. After what you saw, would you like to see a rematch?
No.
You're good with it?
Floyd schooled Manny. I don't think too many people are interested in a rematch. The fight wasn't that compelling. But I blame Manny for that, not Floyd. because Manny was supposed to be more effective. He was supposed to be more efficient. He was supposed to be more aggressive. He was supposed to be a lot of things. And I think Floyd made him look very, very ordinary. I would tell you under what condition I would be interested in a rematch. If Floyd was willing to go either to or near the Philippines to fight Manny Pacquiao.
You know, Macau
in
China,
Macau,
the Vegas of China.
If Floyd was, because Floyd is always thinking about making that money and globalizing his brand. If Floyd were willing to go to Macau, I'm sorry. If he was willing to go to Macau to fight Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao had his people around him where he would be compelled to be even more aggressive.
And maybe some international judges?
Well, whatever. I'm just saying.
You're trying to say to be fair.
You can say whatever you want. You're lost and you're a sore loser, but we'll get to that later. The point that I'm trying to make is, if he was willing to go to Macau to fight Manny Pacquiao. Now, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up, because I spoke to Floyd yesterday morning before I went on SportsCenter, and he was talking about the excuses that Manny Pacquiao was making in terms of his shoulder. That's when he told me about his two bad shoulders, his two bad hands. He didn't want to hear that. And then I said, so would you ever fight him again? He said, sure. He said, look, tell Bob Arum and Top Rank to put up the money this time instead of making us do it. He said, you know, or asking us to do it. I said that. So he's saying, so what Floyd is intimating is that if they're willing to pull up the money, instead of Floyd having to put up the money, he might be willing to entertain that again. And to me, if he wanted to go into hostile confines, meaning Macau, China, you know, and fight Manny Pacquiao in that environment where I think Manny Pacquiao would be even more motivated to go on an all-out assault, I think that the money that could potentially be made there, I think Floyd should be open to schooling him again. It would be another lesson.
Would it be something people would want to see, though, Stephen?
Well,
would
again,
they want to pay $100 even if they were in Macau?
I think that right now the answer would be no, because they're still relatively disappointed in Manny Pacquiao's performance.
Right.
But I believe if Manny Pacquiao went about the business of convincing them. See, here's where Manny messed up. He brought up the sore loser excuse of the bad shoulder, and he started sitting there saying, he did nothing. No, what Manny Pacquiao should have done to ensure a rematch was, I let y'all down. I wasn't on my A game tonight, and I thought that there were opportunities that I had that I didn't take advantage of. If you give me another chance, I promise you I'll make up for it. That is the kind of thing Manny Pacquiao could sell. He can't sell convincing everybody that he did something he didn't do. The only person that's listening to that nonsense is Skip. Everybody else knows that Manny Pacquiao lost that fight. Lost convincingly.
I don't think that they could garner as much money.
Of course not.
They went to Macau.
No, it would definitely be a 49. It would be half. It would be half. It'd be half.
$200 million.
No, I'm saying it would be half.
Pay-per-view guys. Oh, you're talking about the guys.
I'm talking about the price of the fight. It wouldn't be. You wouldn't pay $100.
Oh no, it'd be
like $49
or $39.99.
Would First Take go to Macau for that fight? No. Thank you.
I would like to.
You would like to?
I would like to travel.
No, I'm not interested in going to China.
Okay, first of all, allow me to say that we waited 5 long years for what turned out to be, even to me, a boring fight.
It was.
It was tediously boring, and I blame your guy for that. He is nothing but an escape artist who rat-a-tat-tats just enough to show a little bit of offense to fool the judges into giving him rounds. I don't love that, but that's the way he fights, and that's why people mostly would say no to this fight. Now, let's deal with the excuse of the shoulder injury. What are the facts that we know to this point? Manny shows up to the fight at the MGM Grand maybe 2-3 hours before the fight. He goes to the Nevada State Athletic Commission and says, I need to get an anti-inflammatory injection, maybe a cortisone shot, in my bad shoulder. For some reason, Top Rank or whoever was in charge of that blew the paperwork on that, because you can get those shots if you file for them in advance of the fight, and somebody dropped the ball. So correctly, rightfully so, the Nevada State Athletic Commission said, no, we don't have any paperwork for that. Good. Now, what should have happened? If in fact there was a shoulder injury, and I have no idea whether there was or wasn't, they said it happened about a month ago. You know what they should have done? They should have just said, here's the MRI, show it to the media, show it to Stephen A., show it to me. We ask for a postponement until whenever, June, after the NBA Finals are over, whatever. but they didn't. So I can't buy into it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give them that excuse. It does sound like a rematch type excuse, although they did go on record before the fight that they asked for the shot. Are you with me? Yeah. He didn't just bring it up cold after the fight. They asked before the fight for the cortisone type shot. Couldn't get it. Couldn't get approval.
Well, my thinking is very, very logical in this regard. When you were sitting on the set talking your smack about Pacquiao and Mayweather the way that you were, when Freddie Roach and Bob Arum were talking their smack, they knew about the shoulder. It didn't
I didn't know about it.
All right, but it didn't stop them from talking.
No,
the talk.
It did not.
They gave every impression and every belief that Manny Pacquiao would be ready. And when I saw Manny Pacquiao throwing blows, when Bernard Hopkins and I were sitting next to one another arguing throughout the fight about what happened round between round and what have you, he didn't see anything that was noticeable about Manny Pacquiao.
I didn't think Manny had a lot of right hand in the fight.
Well, listen, what I'm saying to you is that he was missing a lot, okay? And you usually don't have much when you're missing because any boxer will tell you nothing zaps your energy more than missed shots because you're swinging at air. That doesn't last. That doesn't work. You've got to connect. If you don't connect, it literally drains and sucks the energy right out of you. That is what happened to Manny Pacquiao. And as we talk about this match and beyond, let's be clear about something here. Floyd Money Mayweather, he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant about the business of boxing. He's beat them at their own game.
He has.
He has been. You know what he is, Skip? Are you ready for this comparison? He's Darrell Reeves times 10.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
The rules that have been in place.
Times 10.
This guy, the networks, pay-per-view, the promoters, historically they have controlled the sport of boxing. Floyd Mayweather, in conjunction with Al Heyman and Leonard Ellerbe, have taken control of their own brand, and you got a whole bunch of people that were hating on them because of it. In the end, Floyd never once told you, I'm going to be any different than what I always am. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk in the ring and be me. Y'all are thinking this dude is going to come into the ring. I can't emphasize this enough. Everybody that was buying the fight, you were not buying it to see something different from Floyd. You were buying it because you thought Manny Pacquiao was going to produce a different result than everybody else.
Is that
That's
fair?
what happened.
Is that a fair point?
Yeah, I guess so. Look, let's just get back to the rematch idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Would I want, I love your idea about Macau, but here's my problem with Floyd.
Yeah.
I think he's too smart for that. Why would he subject himself to that at this point? He got a $100 million check. All he talked about to you in All Access and then after the fight was he is looking forward to retiring, right?
That's right.
After a September fight. Or vacate, whatever. He doesn't care. He got his money. He beat the system the way you said. Right. So what good would it do to risk 48-0 on a rematch on Manny's turf?
Let me reply to that with a question. What is a bigger money fight? Floyd versus this kid Keith Thurman, who's a knockout artist, 25-0. Floyd versus a rematch, Miguel Cotto, Canelo Alvarez, Amir Khan, David Garcia, or Floyd in a rematch in Macau against Pacquiao.
What's the bigger money?
What's the bigger money?
Oh, the Pacquiao by far.
And I'm saying to you, that's where Floyd would go, where the money's at.
Okay, but does he want to subject his record and himself to that one more time?
Floyd doesn't consider it subjecting his record.
Yeah,
he thinks it was easy work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
But I still think what I thought was going to be a bad matchup for Floyd became a bad matchup for Pacquiao because it's just too hard to pin Floyd down.
Exactly.
It's just too hard. He just runs and runs and runs. I don't like to watch him fight. That's just me because you're right. He's got brittle hands. I told you that before. He's got terrible hands. That's why he has little to no offense. So it's all duck and dodge.
It's not the hands. One point of reference. Everybody needs to remember this. Right before the fight, there was a mini controversy. Even though it was in the contract, it really wasn't a controversy at all because the Mayweather camp knew that they were going to lose this battle. It was just a distraction about the gloves. Manny Pacquiao wears Reyes gloves. Andre Ward, Bernard Hopkins, and all of them told me that's made out of horsehair. So when you put the wrappings on, what happens is that it wears through the wrappings. The wrapping wears through it quicker, and you can feel a punch, which is it's a puncher's glove. Floyd Mayweather wears the Grant gloves. Why? Because the padding is more, it's more protected. And as a result, it protects your hands, but you sacrifice power because of it.
Okay, but he protects his hands because they've been brittle.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
His father had
that's
bad hands and his uncle
But that's
had
what I'm
bad
saying.
hands.
I'm saying because he did that. So the point that I'm trying to make to you is that he's sitting there and wearing the padding to protect his fist. So you're looking at it, and then I ask you this question, Skip. Basically, he's not a knockout artist. You know this coming in, and you still can't touch him. Now, some of us who love boxing actually love to see that.
Okay, that's
actually
you.
love to see that. I love to see. Don't get me wrong. I prefer knockout most of the time. But whether it's him, it's Pernell Whitaker, even Sugar Ray. As much as Sugar Ray had knockout power, do you remember how brilliant defensively Sugar Ray was in terms of his ability to make you miss? Oh, it was special.
But Sugar Ray
had
quite a bit of offense to go
yes,
with
he
his
did.
defense.
Absolutely,
he did.
And he was menacing. And he was menacing.
The question was, will anybody pay to see a rematch?
They would, just not as much.
Yes, not as much. $39.99, $49.99.
Yes.
Who knows? Tonight, the Cavs, without Kevin Love and J.R. Smith, will open their series against a healthy Chicago team looking to exact some revenge on LeBron James, who has eliminated them from the NBA playoffs 3 times since 2010. The Bulls are one of the league's toughest, most defensive-minded teams, and the meeting between the two should be very physical. Some storylines for you guys going into the series. No love, as in Kevin Love, and no love between James and Noah. Also, long layoff for the Cavaliers. So, who wins? Stephen A., you first.
I'm rolling with the Cleveland Cavaliers to win this series in 7 games.
Wow.
I would have picked 6, but J.R. Smith missing 2 of those games early on could eventually cost him. Kevin Love being gone for the entire series in the playoffs definitely will cost him. And I think because of that, Skip Bayless, I'm going to have to give Chicago its respect where it's due, simply because I think that they're a very formidable team. I do not believe that Derrick Rose is 100%. It has been nice to see him on the court. He has been less than spectacular for at least half of the first-round series. Jimmy Butler, I can't say enough about him. Give him his money. The boy deserves his money. Pau Gasol has been a welcomed addition, but the Bulls have stepped back defensively. They're not as formidable defensively as they used to be. Offensively, they're obviously considerably better, but not to the level of Cleveland as far as I'm concerned. And I think those are all going to be problems for them. Keys in this series are going to be obviously Mozgov and Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson really has to step up his game now that Kevin Love is going to be out. Now, when Kevin Love was out earlier this year and Chicago ended up beating Cleveland when Cleveland showed up on the road, keep in mind that it wasn't Tristan Thompson that got a chunk of those minutes. It was James Jones. And so you want another shooter out there because you need to pull some of those bigs away from the basket. But I don't think that's going to be necessary in this series. I think it's going to be nip and tuck. It's going to be back and forth. Ultimately, somehow, some way through 6 games, they're going to be evened up at 3-3. And they're going to have to come back to Cleveland for Game 7. And that's when the greatest player in the world will shine, along with Kyrie Irving. And their excellence on the offensive side of the ball is going to deliver the goods for you. I think it's going to be an incredibly compelling series. I think Chicago is going to scratch, and they're going to claw, and they're going to fight. But ultimately, in the end, I think there's a question mark as to who is going to be able to offset the combination of the greatness of LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. I think that is an answer that the Bulls will not have in the end in a Game 7. And Cleveland squeezes it out. And a great series, but Cleveland advances to the conference finals. By the way, against the Washington Wizards, not the Atlanta Hawks.
Really? You're already going there?
I picked Washington before the series even began. The Washington Wizards, in my opinion, will beat the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, they got a big leg up on that, yes?
That's right. John Wall will be a key reason why, too, averaging 13.8 assists in the last 4 playoff games.
You know what? He is maturing into the kind of leader an Eastern Conference contender needs.
Can't say
I like the way he's handling himself.
And can't say enough about Paul Pierce and the leadership that he's provided.
Big deal.
Big deal.
I agree. I'm not ratting off Atlanta yet, though.
I am.
Man, I don't know. Yes. Okay, back to the prediction here. I'm going to go Cavaliers in 6 in this series. And I love what Thibodeau said, I think it was yesterday. How can you say a team is shorthanded when that team has LeBron James and Kyrie Irving? Touche, end of story.
That's fair.
That is true. That is so true. Look, I just believe the Cavs will win games 1 and 2 and be right on schedule. They should win games 1 and 2. I still think they're a little better than the Bulls, especially in Cleveland. And you're right. Tristan Thompson will be the X factor here. You talk about scratch and claw. He can scratch and claw with the best of them. And I know he clogs the lane a little bit more because he's an interior player in place of Kevin Love. But between him and Mozgov, I think they can control the paint, or at least hold their own against the onslaught of all those Bulls interior players, and they will come at you and after you. But it's time to see Mike Miller. I think we're going to have the Mike Miller sighting. And have you seen him come up big in some finals before?
I was there when he dropped 7 3-pointers on Oklahoma City Thunder.
You were there? Were you not? I was there too.
Okay, so the game was official.
Yeah, it counted. That counted.
One time.
And James Jones is going to have to give him 10 or 15 good minutes and maybe a couple of threes.
Sure.
And Sean Marion's going to have to give him, 10 minutes maybe. And look, the additions of Mozgov and Iman Shumpert, who you love, those are huge additions. JR misses the first 2 games, then he's back. And once they get back to pretty much full strength, I realize Kevin Love is a loss. I just don't think he's a critical loss. I don't think he's a fatal loss to this team in the postseason against this Bulls team, as Derrick Rose still is trying to figure himself back out. Can he completely trust his knee or not? I think his game will sort of come and go. And I just think it's going to be over in 6 games in Chicago.
Well, what I would say to you in response to that, Skip, is I think you're underestimating the impact of Kevin Love's loss. Kevin Love is a legitimate 6'9", 6'10". He's somebody that averages more than 10 rebounds a game, which is a huge deal going against a physical team like Chicago. When you combine that with his shooting prowess, he has the ability to pull you away from the basket. That means that Joakim Noah or a Todd Gibson or a Paul Gasol have to come out away from the basket to defend him. And if that is transpiring, then that's one less big body down in the low post to help you rebound and control the boards. You can't underestimate the impact that Kevin Love's absence could potentially have on Cleveland. It's just that in the end, I think that's what's going to make it a thriller for 6 games. But that game 7, it's not going to be in Chicago.
Okay.
It's going to be in Cleveland.
I don't want to be too critical of Kevin Love after his injury. God bless him in his recovery. But he does and has had a reputation for being a little soft. This series is for big boys. This is going to be a tough guy series. And I think they could benefit from having to play Tristan Thompson a little more to bang with the big boys inside. I'm just not sure this is going to be the series where Kevin Love is going to be an X-factor difference maker.
Because that means you're relying on Tristan Thompson to play big, along with Timothy Mozgov. Sure. And I'm saying it's a requirement. But keep in mind, if Kevin Love was there, they still were going to be there, which means they would be loaded. The fact that Kevin Love is not there, now their contributions are that much more important, because before it would be preferable. Now it's necessary. And that's where it becomes interesting.
Okay, I'll say it one last time. LeBron and Kyrie will be the best 2 players on the floor every night.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
From the plate, safe at the plate!
Right through the World Series.
For the 3rd time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
Have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.
Once projected as a top 10 pick, former Nebraska pass rusher Randy Gregory fell all the way to the Cowboys in the 2nd round at 60 overall. A failed drug test at the scouting combine, as well as other concerns, led to that fall. But Cowboys brass, they met with him about 2 weeks ago, and apparently they found that the risk was worth the reward. So we will ask our Cowboys expert, do you have a problem with the Cowboys taking Randy Gregory?
I'm not sure I'm the expert, but I am a lifelong Cowboy fan.
Almost.
Through and through. And Stephen A., I did not love the drafting of one Randy Gregory. I just have a gut feeling he will prove to be more trouble than he is worth, even at that lower draft spot. I was barely okay with Jerry Jones signing Greg Hardy, and I was perfectly okay with the 10-game suspension that he received, and if it had been a whole year, I would have been fine with that. But there comes a point where you can just have so many bad actors on your team. And I throw in another one because the Cowboys did not, in the draft at least, address their running back situation in the wake of one DeMarco Murray, who obviously went to the Philadelphia Eagles. They do have Darren McFadden, but they also have maybe a co-starter right now in Joseph Randle, who, by the way, touched the ball 51 times last year, carried it 51 times, and averaged almost 7 yards per carry.
That is correct.
But we know about all of his off-the-field issues. So there's another one who would fall into the bad actor category. Sure. I'm going to leave you with this, and then you can speak and give me your perspective on my Cowboys. But Jerry Jones, as a new owner in 1989, was taken under the wing by the great and late Al Davis, the Raiders owner and operator. And what did Al Davis always do? He often acquired bad actors who became great players and gamers. He did not care what they did on Saturday night as long as they showed up on time Sunday, especially for kickoff, and as long as they played. Whatever it took, just win, baby. And Jerry has a lot of just win, baby in him. Those great 90s teams that I covered, they had some bad actors, starting with Michael Irvin, who had his off-the-field trouble. And I've told you again and again, the one guy I wanted in my foxhole, when I was covering those teams, I would want Michael Irvin in my foxhole, despite his off-the-field issues and personal problems. But in this case, I'm not sure if you keep acquiring too many, if it doesn't start to undercut the character that has been rebuilt on this team by Jason Garrett, who's a big character head coach.
Well, first of all, in the interest of just a good time of comedy, could you please tell me when Just Win Baby has applied to Jerry Jones in recent memory? I don't recall. 17 years, 2 playoff victories. Just Win Baby, please.
He did okay through the 90s, right?
Now, that's a long time ago. That was a long time ago. My hairline was about 6 inches forward. But the point is this. In the end, what it comes down to is that hasn't been applicable to Jerry Jones. That's point number one. Point number two, in all seriousness, Skip, I don't mind this pick at all. And I'm going to tell you in all seriousness why I feel this way. It's not just about pairing Gregory ultimately with DeMarcus Lawrence for the future, having 2 edge rushers that's going to help you significantly, considering the fact that the Dallas Cowboys have had trouble rushing the passer. You've got Greg Hardy in there. Here's what I love. I love the fact that it's at pick number 60. I love the fact that Randy Gregory dropped so precipitously. I love the fact that it's obvious as to why he did it. Because he couldn't stay off the weed. And that's what happened. It cost you millions. Good for you. I'm glad it happened, okay? Now that we got that out the way.
He did get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys.
Understand what I'm saying?
He probably thinks he made out on this, right?
No. What I'm saying is he could potentially make out. Yeah. I don't want the brother to be broke. I want him to be successful. I want him to make his money. But I want him to do it the right way. I don't want him getting himself suspended. I don't want him getting himself in trouble. And the reason why I love the fact that he's here on the Cowboys is because America's team is under such a microscope that if he messes up, everyone's going to know. Everyone's going to know. So really, if this dude, think about this, Skip, you go and you mess up at the NFL scouting combine.
Yep.
If you now, having seen it cost you millions of dollars, all right, because this guy was a projected top 10 pick and arguably the best defensive talent in the draft, and you got picked at number 60, cost them millions. Of course. Millions of dollars. If now that you go to the Dallas Cowboys and you mess up here, everyone will know one or two things. You are either a significant addict who needs help, or you have to be the stupidest young man coming out of college. Either way, we're going to find out because you're a member of the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone will be watching, and I hope that forces this brother to act the way he's supposed to act, and he doesn't find himself getting into trouble. Talk about a deterrent. You're under a microscope now, baby.
Right.
You ain't playing in Jacksonville or someplace. You're playing for the Dallas Cowboys. If he messes up in Big D, trust me, everyone will know. Everyone will know.
I sure hope you were right about this.
That's right.
Because I do not have a great feeling about
I think
this
it's
one.
low risk, High reward. Get rid of him if he messes up. Get rid of him.
All right, and what was being called the fight of the century, the legacy fight, the greatest sporting event that one could remember? Floyd Mayweather remained perfect after a unanimous decision over Manny Pacquiao on Saturday night. The $400 million pay-per-view purse, the high demand for tickets, and the A-list guests all contributed to that popularity. But many say that boxing has taken a backseat to mixed martial arts over the past several years. Perhaps casual boxing fans don't really understand how it works, but the true fans, or the true purists such as Stephen A. Smith, would say that's not the case. Did Saturday's fight help or hurt boxing? Stephen A.
I don't think it hurt boxing, because I don't think one fight does that to boxing. Understand that boxing is huge globally. It has dissipated in the mind's eye of Americans, because there's the National Football League, there's the NBA, to a lesser degree there's Major League Baseball. The elevation of the UFC, for example, with Dana White leading the way, they've really, established their niche to a certain degree anyway, but it's not because of the fighters. It's not even just because of the sport. It's because you have a guy running the sport who makes sure that the people get to see the fights they want to see. If Dana White was the commissioner, if there was a commissioner of boxing, and Dana White was running the show, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. would have happened 4 or 5 years ago. That's what makes them legitimate. The things that people clamor for is what Dana White feeds to them. And so boxing is very reluctant and hesitant in doing so. It's my hope that boxing will continue to take fold and really establish its presence once again on network television. I think once that happens and we start seeing those contenders and we see that they're legitimately working their way through the ranks, I think the popularity of the sport will elevate once again. But at the same time, we've got a lot of options in America. And that's why it really matters. In other places, like, in Europe, for example, soccer is a very, very huge deal. They may have other sports and what have you, but essentially boxing, there's room for boxing to explode. In America, that's not necessarily the case. It's about the individual fighters. Right now, it's this, but you know what? If Canelo Alvarez and Miguel Cotto win their respective fights coming up and they ultimately meet, that's going to be a big fight. Andre Ward, the super middleweight champion of the world, who I interviewed Saturday. This kid is special. Number 2 pound for pound when he was fighting, wasn't getting into his legal issues, fighting with his promoters. He is back now, and he is willing to fight Gennady Golovkin, who is a knockout artist. Andre Ward comes back and reminds the world of what he can bring. It's going to be a big fight. Not this mega kind of fight, because we were starving for it, but boxing is in a good place, and I don't think this hurt the sport. Not this fight. Floyd may hurt the sport because he's not knocking people out the way other people want to see knockouts, but James Kirkland and Canelo Alvarez getting ready to fight. Some of the welterweights you see, some of the super middleweights that you see. I mean, I don't think it's being hurt.
Look, America knows this, but my friend Stephen A. Smith is a huge boxing fan.
Yes, I am.
You're in the minutia of boxing, even more than I have ever been.
Okay.
Those names you just spouted, they're losing people out there in viewer land. People are like, I'm out.
Canelo Alvarez, Miguel Cotto?
I don't know. I mean, Canelo didn't exactly distinguish himself against
Floyd.
Only against
Floyd. Yeah. That's why I said Floyd may hurt the sport in certain respects because they want to see knockouts.
Okay. My head hurts under this hat.
It does?
And I believe boxing was hurt in the United States of America late Saturday night. And here's why. Again, I've been a long-time boxing fan of the heavyweight or the mega fight divisions. And yet,
excuse me. Thank you.
I've talked to so many people in my inner circle who bought the fight, and they felt duped, they felt suckered, they felt misled, because these are casual to non-boxing fans who paid $100 in some cases, even though they split it with some of their friends and family, whatever. But they paid, in their view, way too much money for way too little boxing. And look, you respect and embrace Floyd's ring brilliance. I'm going to say it again, greatest defensive fighter ever. It doesn't translate on television to non-boxing fans, because to watch Floyd backpedal and escape and dance and juke and run and then finally just tie up little Manny and put him in a headlock, is no fun to watch. There's not enough action. We saw action from Manny in round 4 and round 6. He wanted to try to finish Floyd in 4, and he couldn't get it done because Floyd's head is too quick. He's got the quickest head I've ever seen. All this stuff, it's hard to catch him with a solid shot. I thought Manny got him 4 or 5 good times, but it wasn't enough. And it certainly wasn't enough for the new public that jumped on board. And by the way, I don't know if we deserve credit or blame for this, but we hyped this fight for about 5 years, didn't we, on this show? We talked and talked, and I was so excited. I tweeted right before the fight, Stephen A. Smith and I have campaigned for this moment, and it's finally here.
That's right.
And then it wasn't there. Because it was a pretty boring fight, and I'm a huge boxing fan, but it was a little tedious to watch.
I didn't find it, maybe because I was in the arena watching it, I didn't find it as boring. I certainly didn't think it was ultra exciting, but I didn't find it that boring because I was marveling at the fact that Manny Pacquiao couldn't connect. I was marveling at the fact that he was supposed to be so much faster.
But you were rejoicing, right? You were so excited.
I was rejoicing because I was like, because again, but the people out there that think it's about Mayweather, I was the same way about Pernell Whitaker. I was the same way about Sugar Ray. I was the same way. I love to see guys get in the ring and exhibit mastery. I just love that. That's me. To me, anybody can get hit, okay? And if you can stand up, more power to you because you got that iron chin. But the Gaddies against the Wards back in the day, if I want to see that, I'll go watch Rocky. You know, that's not me.
Wouldn't you say the casual boxing fan might have been disappointed?
Of course. Of course they would have. Of course they would have. Absolutely.
NFL fans don't want to see a 6-3 game, and that's the equivalent of, even though Floyd, it's hard to translate Floyd into 6-3 NFL game, but he is so elusive. He is such an escape artist that there's all defense and very little offense going on here.
Boxing fans have been disappointed before. We saw Mike Tyson bite Evander Holyfield's ear, and I remember people telling me they will never buy another boxing match in life. They were so appalled by it happening. They were so appalled that boxing gives the impression that anything goes and there's no regulation, even though it was regular because, you know, obviously the fight got stopped the minute Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear. My point to you is that one fight is not going to define or dictate the magnitude of the sport. Overall, people see a bevy of fighters out there who aren't as gifted as Floyd, but don't mind rumbling and tumbling and all of that stuff. I don't believe this fight hurt the sport. I believe Floyd Mayweather's performance against Pacquiao Saturday night hurt a lot of people in Pacquiao's corner because Pacquiao got exposed.
But speaking of rumble, for those old enough to remember all the Ali fights, and I remember every one of them, I was never ever disappointed in a single Ali performance. I was crushed against Larry Holmes when clearly he was overmatched and getting hurt, and then I was there for Trevor Berbick in the Bahamas, and it was just a debacle. But it wasn't that it wasn't entertaining.
But if you
was
remember the Rumble in the Jungle, a lot of people had a problem with the fact that Ali Roper doped him to death.
The difference was so shocking.
But the difference was that it was shocking, and on top of it all, he ultimately put Foreman down. If that had gone a decision, everybody would have been like, "This is appalling. What was Ali doing?" But he wore him out and let him punch himself out.
We needed a knockout Saturday night.
It would have been nice.
Neither fighter was really
ready to do that.
It would have been nice. It would have been. I agree with that part. It would have been nice to see a knockout.
Why did LeBron James lose his headband earlier this season after wearing it basically his entire career? Well, he told the Cleveland Plain Dealer that he essentially wanted to be one with his teammates. He didn't want to stand out or blend out. He wanted to blend in. I'm paraphrasing. Last time he went into a game without a headband was a preseason matchup against Detroit in his rookie season. So, Stephen A., you buying that explanation?
I buy the explanation. He's all in, but I think that he basically grew up. I mean, the fact of the matter is that your hairline's going to recede. Who's a better witness of that than me? I am the witness and the expert in that regard. And by the way, I would just like to say this, and I am not playing around. I'm being very serious and complimentary. When you have a wife as gorgeous as LeBron James has, you don't need to be concerned about how you look.
Right.
I mean, please. He has overachieved big time.
You know, I must say, seriously, from the heart, I liked LeBron better with the headband. I cannot get used to this look from LeBron James because I thought he looked better with it on because he looked more intimidating to me. It's like that was LeBron. No, seriously.
The headband was
he just doesn't look right without it.
He looks fine to me.
He looks like he's not dressed, you know? Like,
He's cool.
Can we see the photo, please? You said he doesn't look right.
First of all, LeBron is the best player in the world. You understand? He's got a physique that most men would die to have because he's a phenomenal shape and tone, muscular, and all of that other stuff.
Does he look odd to you, Stephen A?
He doesn't look odd to me at all. He looks fine. And not only that, and not only that, he ain't wearing the headband when he's out. When he showed up at the ESPYs with his lovely wife and what have you. I mean, come on now. He's good. He don't need anything. He don't need to worry about no damn headband. Go out there and win. Good.
That's the end result. He looks good.
Yeah, he's fine.
So allow me to say, Floyd, congratulations on the victory.
What does that mean?
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
You're hating.
What are the air quotes?
Did I do air quotes?
You did.
Oh, it was like a Freudian slip.
Your man got exposed. Your man got exposed, outboxed, and schooled.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can catch First Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. And don't forget to download my podcast, Be Honest, on iTunes.